First of all, let me register my disappointment that the Minister Bruton is not here. I understand he has questions in the door. That's understandable. There's also a junior minister in the same department who happens to be a local TD who would have a great insight into the issue that I'm raising, Mary Mitchell-O'Connor, who also for some reason isn't available and who I have to debate with, is a junior minister from the Department of Agriculture. So I don't really think that's good enough, to be quite frank about it.
It's not a matter for the chair. We don't order.
I'm just making my protest. If that's okay. The office.
But I'm sure the minister will have the answer in any case.
Well, the office to Coherrick of the Seanad is a constitutional office to ask the minister to come here to discuss a matter in relation to the Department of Education. There's a junior minister in that department who actually also is a local TD and quite sure.
Coherrick has no role whatsoever in deciding which minister comes to respond. But the response will be the official response of the department.
My protest then is with.
I appreciate your protest, but let's get on with it.
My protest then, Minister, is perhaps you could convey, and there's absolutely nothing personal to yourself, Minister, but I just don't think it's good enough. The issue at hand here is a school in Dunleary, the lands of which the patron body are determined to sell for commercial development. The Board of Management of the school are determined to stop that from happening. It mirrors the situation in my own constituency in St Anne's and St Paul's School, where the order have sold the lands to a private developer. These are lands that were handed to them by the City Council. These are playing fields, and the private developer now owns them and is trying to develop them, and there's major local opposition to it. But that's spilt milk in terms of the ownership of those lands. This is not spilt milk when it comes to the issue in Clonkeen. So we have the bizarre situation where the patron body is now threatening, and more than just threatening, to disband the Board of Management of the school, and their crime is merely to defend the interests of the school and defend the interests of the local community. Now, the Minister is the only person who can actually make the decision on this, and that might be part of the reason why we don't have a representative from the department here to debate this with me, because the Minister can't hide behind constitutional advice, can't hide behind the department, can't hide behind Rockdis Committee. This decision is fundamentally his and his alone. And I understand from media reporting that this decision has to be made by tomorrow. So the point that I'm asking you, Minister, will the Department of Education stand beside the patron body and effectively by the developer and sack the board? Or is the Minister going to stand beside the board and the school community, many of whom are here in the gallery here to watch this debate, including one of the local representatives, Councillor Deirdre Kingston? Are they going to stand with the community and ensure that the board remains intact? It's a very simple question. It's a very simple decision. If it was my decision, I know what decision I would be making, and I'm interested to hear what has been handed to you to read out.
Thank you very much, Senator. Minister.
Okay, thank you, Cahill. Look, I'm just not going to get into the. I understand there was a communication between the various people who scheduled the order of both houses, and there was a request made to move this particular item to another to facilitate the Minister to come in, but I can't say for definite how that evolved. I will read out what I was given, and anything else, I suppose the best thing I can do is relate your concerns, and I certainly will relate what you've outlined at the beginning of your contribution. And just to say, I'd like to thank the Senator for giving the opportunity to outline to the House the position in relation to Clonkeen College and a request by the school patron to dissolve the Board of Management. I've been informed by the Department of Education and Skills that the patron of Clonkeen College, the ERST, has now sought approval to dissolve the Board of Management of the College in accordance with Section 16 of the Education Act of 1998. In relation, I understand that this request is connected to a legal case taken by the Board of Management in relation to the sale of land. This case is due to be heard in the High Court in March of 2018. The statutory process of dissolution is underway, in which the Minister for Education and Skills must make a decision having considered the submissions made, and it would not be appropriate to comment on the matters that are related to the dissolution. For to make a public comment on the request to dissolve the board of Clonkeen College would be to prejudge the statutory function that the Minister must now discharge. So that's the note I have, Senator. Any comments or observations you have on it, I will refer back to the Minister for Education. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Do you want a brief supplementary, Senator?
Well, I don't like generally doing this to Cahir. Again, with the greatest respect, Minister, I know you've been sent in here to do what you've been asked to do. But I repeat the point that I understand the Minister is being is in the Dáil at the moment. I can appreciate that. Any communications that were made to my office I have no knowledge of them because I haven't seen them in terms of this debate. There's a junior minister in that department who also happens to be a local TD who could be here. I've gotten a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-sentence reply. The only person who can make this decision is the Minister. The Minister could make his views very clearly and known to the local community, to the Board of Management and to the patron body as to whose side he is on. And again, just when it comes down to the fact, as I mentioned, that he didn't have anywhere else to hide, he's found somewhere else to hide. Now, this is absolutely ridiculous. And this isn't a constituency matter for me, Minister. This isn't on the far side of the county, as far as I'm concerned. But this is a matter, to my mind, of now national importance, where a patron body decides to sell off land in a school to a developer who can build on local playing pitches. And if the Board of Management just decides to defend the rights of that school, they're going to sack the board. They're going to sack the board, and the Minister has the determination to make whether he's going to sack them or not. And the Minister doesn't come in here, doesn't send in his junior minister, who also happens to be a local TD, and then sends a 6-sentence reply in relation to the situation. And we are none the wiser as to what his decision will be. So I genuinely don't think that's good enough. And I don't like playing party politics when it comes to issues like this. But this is extremely important for this individual school. It's not just this individual school, probably every school across the country which has playing pitches, which local communities are going to go, is this what we're going to be up against in a couple of years' time? And if we happen to have a problem with it, is our local Board of Management going to be sacked too? And where is the Minister on this? Because I honestly say this to you, Minister, and it's my last point. If it was me, if I was the Minister for Education, or my party who had the Ministry for Education, this would be a very simple decision.
Thank you, Senator. Minister.
You made your point, okay? As somebody who sat on Board of Managers of special needs schools and other schools, whose wife has been involved in special needs education all her 38 years teaching, I have some knowledge of how schools work. I've had 4 children who've gone through primary and secondary school education and 3rd level. You raise a point. This is a fundamental point between the rights, as I understand it, and I can't comment only a personal observation on this, the rights, the legal status between a patron and a BOM, a Board of Management, and how they stand in relation to each other. So we have a patron on the one hand has decided they want to sell. We have a Board of Management who are ultimately the managers of a school, of an education facility, in all cases. I've always had great regard for the importance of the Board of Management. But this is a fundamental legal point as well, and the Minister has to decide whether he agrees or not to the dissolution of that board. The Minister's note says that at this point in time it's not appropriate for him to comment on that. I would suggest that I will take back your feelings. I mean, it's going to be recorded on the record of the House here, and the Minister will be made fully aware of the points that you've made. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister, and thank you, Senator. Next item.